So I have finished God of War 2. Here are my thoughts about the game. Likes, okays, dislikes. First up, the likes. Combat. It's fluid. This is the combat I grew up on between God of War 1, 2 and 3. It's what I'm familiar with. I understand the enemy patterns. The blades are one of my favourite weapons in gaming. The brutal attacks, grabbing enemies with circle and then either flinging them around to use as a projectile against other enemies or ripping them apart. It's all just great. Secondary weapons are in the game. A hammer, a spear and other stuff like that. I didn't use them. I used them a bit when I got them just to try out and see some of the animation, but then I went right back to the blades. Can't beat them. Returning to rage-filled Kratos. Yes, the character of Kratos in 2018's God of War is better, but playing Kratos who is fueled by one emotion and one emotion only, well, 95% of his motivation is pure anger. It's nice. Definitely he did need an upgrade or some maturation, because after 6 games of just killing first, asking questions never, once in a while it's nice to go back just to see where Kratos came from. My okay for the game is the story. It felt like a big stopgap between God of War 1 and God of War 3. And of course the game does end with a big to be continued. Yeah, Zeus is the antagonist and the whole point of 2 is to get vengeance on Zeus. But then there's a big side mission and then you come back and you do a little skirmish with Zeus before the big battle. The game ends and it's all to be concluded in God of War 3. So, it was okay. Dislikes. The Pegasus sections. So tedious. I didn't find the mechanics satisfying or even enjoyable. I found the whole thing annoying and just wanted it to end, but they didn't end in a timely manner. That went on far too long. Just a chore. There's 2 at the beginning and I think maybe 1 more later in the game. But did not like them at all. I didn't like the first few hours of the game. Apart from the opening. The opening is typical God of War epic, multi-stage boss fight over the course of the entire level. Great. But once that finished, it was just, 3 to 4 hours of going through the motions. Nothing of note for ages. It made me realize why I don't look back at God of War 2 as fondly as I do with God of War 1 and God of War 3. Because those 2 games feel like every moment matters. With God of War 2, even though it's only a 10-hour game, it could have been trimmed down to a 7 or 8. Thankfully, like I mentioned in the OK section, the story does get better later in the game. And that's why story goes from I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not interested, to that was alright and good setup for God of War 3. Overall, I'd say it's still worth playing. It's nice to see the setup for God of War 3. About a 10-hour game, 15 if you go for the platinum. Challenge of the Titans can be quite tough. You'll see in the video that's where all of the swearing occurs. Did not enjoy that section at all. Finishing God of War 2 made me really eager to play God of War 3, which is probably the point of the game in the first place. I will do an episode about God of War 3 at some point in next year. I'll do it next year. And as for the Platinum Journey episode for God of War 2, that'll be out in the next couple of weeks. So until then, thank you very much for joining me for this short and sweet thoughts about God of War 2. Until the Platinum Journey episode, take care.